time for that weekend and to see that era. So dangerous.
I would love to go. I would love. Yeah, I would love to. I'd love to go back and imagine racing a 300 SL, and Sterling was, would be in another one over there. You would, I think, not know the risks that you're about to undertake. You would appreciate them, but you didn't know any better. That's what people, that's what we've heard from everybody. All the legends have said, we didn't know any better. That was our state of the art.
We think it's so good now, and in 20 years we'll look back and go, oh, dodgy parts of it. You know?
Exactly.
We do. You look 10 years from, you look at cars you drove 10 years ago, you look at them now, you're like, how did I get in this thing?
Yeah.
Some of them are like, okay, not too soon. And the Jags, man, look at the old Jags.
Now you wouldn't make
the sports funnel.
You wouldn't make this comparison, but when I was hearing you talk about the level of commitment it took, and the toll it took on your family, and even your career you touched on, I mean, the parallel to Steve McQueen, he literally mortgaged almost everything that was going on. That movie was so important. So, I mean, it really is something that when it gets inside you, you will give everything you have to get there. I mean, is that what is that?
It's an addiction in the sense of the level that you're living life and the amount of attention that you have towards that moment is where you strive to live. There is your awareness is so focused. Yeah. Your situational awareness and you're heightened. You're absolutely right, and that's where you want to live. And there's no mental distraction when you are focused on what's at hand, and and when you have the emotion and you can control it, you can make that car do things because of your emotion. Yeah. It's really something, and the battle is with oneself. It's not your competitor at the end of the day. Yeah. There's the great quote that Phil Hill has that was from, I think, a German fencer about the competitor is myself. Yeah. How far am I willing to go into my fear to come out the other side without going over the edge? And, in that era, we were talking about the eras of the 30s. I mean, the drivers, and certainly with the pressure that Enzo Ferrari put on his drivers, you look at all those great races of the day and the deaths that happened at that time.
Oh, you can't imagine.
The intensity of we deal with it now. When you get into a car, you have those thoughts, something, you don't want to spend time dwelling, but you let them come up and you let them go. And we've all been at races where we've had people injured or hurt or even killed, and it puts things in perspective. And if you're going to do this, then you do it. Don't mess around.
Yeah. Well, how do you? So obviously, acting is still such a big part of what you do. I don't know about you, but we've never talked about it. But when racing stopped, funny enough, live TV and being in the pit lane and doing it was not the same as racing, but it was the next biggest fix I could get. They're coming to you. You're hosting from the grid at Le Mans for the whole Fox broadcast. The first person they saw was me, and you can't mess it up. You can't. So there's a stimulation to it. And people say, was it like racing? I said, no, but it's my next best thing. And then, of course, we do this show, which I know is desperately full of adrenaline for you, Tommy. But you sort of been at the top of both careers. How are you getting your fix now? What's PD's fix?
No, that's the question. That's the challenge right now. My fix is really, I love being with my kids. My daughter just graduated high school. That in itself is a remarkable achievement. And, it's a period of time that is over. And they're going off. And it's been really, that's been the fix on the sense of I did enough for myself where I could step back, and it's now how do we keep our family and our children to allow them to find their own passions. That's been one of the fixes, but there's nothing that's replaced racing. I think that's why I'm trying to get back into it, and with the support of my family going, Dad, you got to get back in the car. My wife saying, you know what, get back in the car. Don't, that's which is like, I'll just do one or two races. That's only but it's the camaraderie, it's the discipline of it, and it's just the sheer challenge of oneself, I think, is what's great.